Hello everyone, so today I'm going to be doing my July wrap up. I read 5.5 books in the month of July. The first book I read this month was More Than This by Patrick Ness. This book, okay, I don't even know how I feel about this book. Like, I didn't even give it a rating on Goodreads because I was like, not confused, but I just didn't know how I felt about it. Like, I still don't know how I feel. It has a very good start. The book starts off with the main character actually dying. When reading about it, you're reading about his death while it's happening, and it just feels like you're in the water with him drowning. First of all, I thought this book was going to be contemporary, and then as I read it, I realized it was a science fiction, and it literally hit me in the face out of absolutely nowhere, and I was like, what is going on? This is a science fiction book, not a contemporary. So that was a bit like confusing for me. Usually if I don't know how I feel about a book, I'll put it down and like give myself a minute to think about it. But with this book, I could not stop reading. Like I just couldn't. I couldn't put it down, but I still didn't know how I felt about it, and if you get what I mean. And then that ending, like, I don't know, I'm still confused about this book. It's a very tense read and very interesting and creepy as well. It's a very creepy book. The next book I read this month was Maze Runner by James Dashner. I really enjoyed this book. It really reminded me of when I read Hunger Games and Divergent. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely like a page turner for me. Yeah, there's not much I really have to say on it, really. It was just a good book. The next book I read then was Scorched Trials by James Dashner. This book, I didn't really like how it followed up on the Maze Runner. They made such a big deal about this trial. James Dashner built it up loads as if it was going to be this like big thing, you know. The trials were just like, they were kind of boring in comparison to the Maze Runner. I felt like it needed a lot more action in it, because even though the maze, like, there wasn't too much action in that, but you still got to meet new characters all the time, which kind of kept the action going for me, which caused me to really like it, because like the characters I thought were really well written. The next book then I read this month was The Girl Before by J.P. Delaney. I really did not like this book. I'm not a fan. I really don't like it. I really hate it. I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads, and still that feels generous for me. I just hate the way this book was written. I hate the layout of the book. It follows 2 characters of Jane and Emma, and Jane moves into this new house that's built by this architect, and it's like very minimalistic, and there's like a strict guidelines of rules, and then she finds out that Emma died there before her, and then she just tries to find out what happens to her, and there's loads of weird relationships in this, and I just didn't like it. Anyways, the layout of the book is that it switches between Jane and Emma, but what it does is like Jane's chapter will finish and then Emma's will carry on. When like you're reading on to Emma's chapter, it's almost like you're reading Jane's chapter too, so you get kind of confused, and you're like, and you have to take a step back and look at the name and be like, oh, okay, this is Emma. And that annoyed me a lot, and I know it's supposed to kind of be like that because there's supposed to be such similarities between them, but I just did not like that. If a book is going to be separated from then and now, it has to be separate for me. Like, I can't deal with that, because if you're in the zone and you're reading loads, like, obviously it's not going to be as obvious if the chapter changes when like they're carrying on the same story almost. I didn't like the writing style in this book. I thought the whole story was just bad. Like, I was expecting like a huge twist at the end, and there was a bit of a twist at the end, but it wasn't good enough for it to revive the book for me. Oh, don't even get me started. I don't know when it comes up, but I think like halfway through the book anyways, it's introduced that there's like this daddy kink in the book, and I literally almost threw the book across the room. I was like, I'm not, like, this book is bad enough as it is, and now you've added this into it. I was like, I just hate it. So that's when I made the decision that I really just did not like the book. So the twist at the end is not very good. It's very predictable, and it's just terrible. I just did not think, like, I'm on such a rant right now. I really just didn't like it. I did not like it at all. The last book I read this month was Holding by Graham Norton. I had already been like halfway through this book, or 3/4 of the way through this book, but I put it down because I just found it very, very boring, and I decided to try and carry it on to finish it this month. Yeah, I was hoping it would get better. It didn't. I ended this month on 2 books that were just not good for me. I hated this book as well. I never pick up celebrity written books because I don't trust them enough, and I know that might sound bad, but I just don't. But I didn't realise that this was Graham Norton, the presenter, so that's my fault. But I was reading this and I was hoping that there'd be this big twist at the end, or, you know, there'd be this huge reveal, but it was, again, predictable like the last book, The Girl Before. This book was so boring throughout. It was just a terrible storyline. Absolutely terrible storyline. It was the most boring storyline I think I've ever read for a book that's supposed to be like a thriller. And it sounded great on the back, you know, about this village that has little drama, then these like huge secrets are like unveiled. There's no secrets unveiled apart from the fact that there was a body uplifted from an old farm, and then it's just about that body the whole time. It's just about that body, and it's not even that interesting. He tries to make this book very like relatably Irish. Like, he tries to add that Irish humour of, like, you know, going to Sunday mass and stuff like that, and it's just like, it's not funny. It's just like, it doesn't work for him. It doesn't, like, stuff like that can come across when you're speaking to someone, like that kind of humour, or, you know, that kind of making fun of Irish traditions, I guess, like that can be funny when you're talking to someone, but when it's written down, it's just not as funny, because, like, it's the tone of voice you say it in and all that and it just doesn't come across in the book very well, and he tries to be relatable, and it doesn't work out for him, and it kind of made me cringe a little bit, and I didn't like it. So yeah, so those are all the books I read this month. It was an okay month, not the best, but yeah, that's everything for this video. Let me know if you read any of the books that I mentioned and what you thought of them. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!